Hello, Vanguard community. Today is Friday, May the 1st. I'm Jennifer Methvin, the Chancellor at Arkansas State University, Beebe. Welcome to Doing Things Differently and Learning Something New. These are just a series of conversations I've been having with faculty, staff, and students about how the current coronavirus public health emergency is impacting us all and having us do things very differently than we really want to do. I have with me today one of our Heber Springs campus students. Nick Arnold is with us today. Nick, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Not too much to know. I'll be graduating this May. After that, I'll be going to A-State. I'll probably stay in the dorms up there. Thinking about doing something with computers, so maybe IT guy, something computer science as far as my 4-year up there.
Very good. What's your degree? What will you be graduating with here shortly?
Just liberal arts and sciences from here.
Awesome. Very good. Well, you've been one of our really outstanding students and a student worker for us as well, and very involved on our Heber Springs campus. Well, okay, you know the drill by now. I think we have 5 questions, about 15 minutes, just a little brief conversation about how things have been impacting us. So if you're ready to go, I just ask you, we moved to alternative methods of instruction on March 16th. And so what's been the most challenging part about that for you as a student?
It probably falls in line with everybody else. The motivation is horrible. And I guess I'll probably play off of that for several of these questions. This whole thing has been kind of weird. If I want to, since I already know question 3, I'll bring that one up now too. It's been weird, not being able to do other things to like balance out, school's not exactly bad, but it's not pleasurable to sit down for a little bit and do homework. Right. And so, back whenever, I guess we'll say times were normal, it was easy to balance that out whenever I would go out and maybe work out or, just going to do the things that I enjoyed. And it's been tougher. You don't get to do that. And so it's just like you get to do homework, and then after that, you get to do a little more. And so a lot of times, my motivation will lack, and a lot of days, you find yourself just sitting more, and I don't really know exactly what I want or what would make me feel better. I just know that I don't feel great right now. So.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. It's a totally different routine, and it's a routine minus a lot of people. Minus a lot of activity that we're normally doing. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. Well, do you think you've learned anything in this process that might make you a better student moving forward?
It's probably good to have some of these online classes. I don't care for them. I try to avoid them when I can. I've received any of the grades that I don't like. They're usually in the online ones. Part of it's just because I lack the motivation sometimes to really get in there and do what I'm supposed to be doing. But I think this is where education is moving towards. I think everybody knows that. This could just kind of put us on a fast track and just really threw us into the pan as far as, getting everybody to know what they're supposed to be doing. And so in the future, I think, I don't think getting away from online classes is going to be something I'm going to do. I think I'll still probably have 1 or 2 more, and it'll probably help me with those in the future. Like I said, I think that they're going to be playing a big role in education for forever now.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Things are certainly going to change, and it's going to be interesting to see in what way. So, Nick, did you have any of those classes where the lecture stayed at the normal time of day that you normally met, and so you had your lecture by Zoom?
See, none of my teachers wanted to do Zoom.
Yeah. Okay. So it's been an interesting contrast between what students have felt about that. So I was just curious about that. Very good. Very good. Okay. So you've talked to me about this a little bit before. What's been personally challenging to you about this?
Like I said, a lack of energy. I probably over this last month, I'm not a guy that takes naps or lays in the bed, but I've actually started to take it. I don't know. I just lack energy. Just go and lay in the bed for a little bit, stay up late and sleep in late. It's just, I don't have a lot going. And it doesn't feel good. I can imagine that if I wasn't, in like a super great like mental state before all this started,
Yeah.
like it would have been pretty tough, honestly, to have gone through all this, because I certainly don't feel as good now as when I did, when the whole thing started. And I'm definitely excited. I guess I'm on the uphill, knowing that things are like I'm towards the end, but towards the middle of all this, it was definitely tough and kind of eye opening as far as what some, I don't know, like I guess mental health problems can look like, and maybe like the beginnings of like a depression. That's not something that I've ever had to deal with, but I think lack of energy and just moping around and just not wanting to do anything, I think that's can be some of the beginnings of that. It was weird to feel all that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a great point. I think we're all experiencing very different emotions than we did. And I heard a news article the other day, an NPR article about how not having a routine, being out of your routine, actually does negatively affect your mental health.
Yeah, I can imagine. So it's like way more free time. Before it was like you'd go to classes and or on the work, and then like after work I would go and then work out, and then that would kind of exhaust you, and always put me in a good mood too. For some reason, that's one thing I've like fixated on. Oddly enough, in my intro to psych, I actually had to write something about a mental health, like a little short essay thing, and I
Yeah.
actually wrote that in there. It was like I've wanted to work out. Weirdly enough, like, I don't know. That's like one thing that in my mind I fixated on. I don't know whether it's actually going to be very helpful at the end, but it's something that like I don't know.
It's part of your routine. I bet it will.
I guess I don't know.
Physical activity also makes us feel better, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah,
That's
so
true.
that's interesting. And thank you for sharing that. I don't know if you've been keeping up on the mobile app. The Student Success Center has been putting a little check-in, a mental health check-in grid out there about once a week with different color hearts and been tough for a lot of folks the past few weeks, myself included.
Mm-hmm.
It's been tough. So thank you for sharing that. Ironically enough, May is Mental Health Month, and we're going to have some things coming out from our HR department to sort of help us a little bit.
Yeah.
That very thing you just talked about. So that's good timing of that. Okay, well, I say it's only fair that I get to ask 4 questions, so you get to ask at least one. What's your question of me?
You know, as like a student worker, and I guess partially as the student, I wondered when the campus was going to come back to full function, and like especially as the student worker, because I'd kind of planned to, I guess, finish working out through the spring, and then maybe some even into the summer.
Yeah, that is such a great question that there is such a vague answer for, but I can share some things that we know, right? So we know that summer 1 and the 8-week and the 10-week terms of summer 1 are going to be totally remote learning. It's going to be totally online.
Yeah, I heard that. That was part of my concern too, as far as my thought of the summer was like if summer 1 is already entirely online. I was like that. I don't know.
Right. And so we made that decision when we made it because of the uncertainty of when will we be able to come back and not work remotely, right? So we are working remotely, employees are working remotely, basically under the governor's order for state employees to work remotely. So we listen to the governor's press conference every single day with great anticipation as he's talking about the things that will happen in Arkansas in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, to see at what point that might be an option for state employees to begin to move back. We don't know what that date will be. He said about every part of those phases. He hasn't named higher education really or state employees in any of those phases yet. But even when he's named things like beauty shops, I'm hoping for beauty shops.
Me too.
He'll say, we think, or that's the day we'll make the call on when they might come back. And so it is true that probably we in higher education, now that we're near the end of the spring semester, and our K-12 partners, as they are ending the spring semester, we're a little bit more adept and capable of working remotely. So I don't think we'll be among the first slotted back in, I don't think, because I know the governor's focus is on small businesses and getting that means of those folks making a living returning back. I do know this, when we do return, it'll probably be a phased approach. So it happened over a very short time, but you're probably aware that we ask employees who had an autoimmune problem, or were the primary caretakers of an autoimmune problem, or had children home and with no other child care option doing their AMI, they were the first to begin to work remotely, right?
Mhm.
And then some of us who are essential employees, like some of our maintenance folks, and the computers are still running, the bills are still being paid. So some of us have to come in and do certain things anyway. So we're really not completely working remotely anyway, so we can keep the institution running. So essential employees will probably come back 100% first, and then it'll be some sort of phased approach, ending probably with the employees who have those health issues that we need to be most careful about. That's not a very, I know it doesn't give you the answer.
It's tough to, most of these things that we're like everything else, like you can bring back, like I said, back to the gym, that's supposed to be like Monday, and, they can do phased approaches, like only so many people in, or, a haircut, it's like only so many people in the office, and you make them stand this far apart or whatever. But that's going to be hard to do in a school and a classroom. It's like, how do you decide who gets to come in and who doesn't?
Right.
And then it's like, have to set up the desk this far apart, and then it's like, how do I even leave? We all got to go out the same door.
Right. So we have a couple of instances where we've kind of already been dealing with that, but so that students who don't have internet and computers at home can still have some access to do their remote learning. Our library on the Beebe campus and the advising and learning centers on all of our campuses are open for some hours every day. And so it's exactly what it is. It's like every third computer, and only 5 can be in here at a time. So if there are 5 in here, you got to wait till someone leaves and they have to go in one door, particular door. They have to be wearing a mask, depending on how things are, we could look at those kinds of things when we come back. That we do have some of those things. So it's unsettling for you. It's unsettling and uncertain for us all too. And unfortunately, because this is so new to the world, there aren't just solid guidelines about what do we do next and what do we do next. Yeah. So it's interesting. But I can tell you that we can't wait to have everybody back in their offices and on campus. But we also know that the health and welfare of our students and our faculty and our staff have to be first. So we'll continue to operate in that way. So thank you for asking that, because everybody is wondering about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Last question. So there's a lot of toughness in all of this for everybody. But I've been ending with the question, Nick, do you find any silver linings in this situation? Either for yourself, for our state, for our nation, for ASU-Beebe, any silver linings at all?
I guess to maybe go back to the second question, I think maybe some of my online skills will have improved. And then, technically I do have a lot of free time. Even, as much time as I do, lay around and feel sorry for myself, I actually still do get to, I go out to, maybe like some private farms or even the lake sometimes. I've gone and fished probably more than I would have had this not happen. So, that was pretty fun. Definitely a lot of free time that I've been given for just extra outdoor activities, really. Yeah. And those have been very fun to have, especially.
Good. Well, Nick, it's been a pleasure to talk with you here. You mind if I cheat and ask you one more question? You're one of our graduates, and we're going to celebrate graduation virtually. Now, we're also going to give graduates the opportunity to come back in December or next spring and really walk if they want to walk. But how do you feel about not having the opportunity to do, I won't be able to meet you halfway across the stage in the Performing Arts Center in Heber Springs and shake your hand and hand you a diploma cover this year. How are you feeling about that?
It's not my favorite. It's definitely
Not either.
there are things that even if you don't exactly like them, it's like maybe I go to graduation and just like I was nervous the whole time. It's like like sweating under my stuff, and it's like my whole family's there watching, and it's like the whole thing is kind of nerve-wracking, but it was an experience that I still kind of wanted.
Yeah.
Just not the best to have missed out. I mean, that's the good news is, I guess the good news and bad, I'll probably still get to walk, if, I go on and go ahead and get my 4-year, I'll get to get that graduation, which is, I guess, like the big one, if you want to say that, and so that'll be nice to have that. But it's still just kind of a bummer to miss it. It's very similar. Like my sister, she kind of in the same boat. She, they canceled prom. This was going to be her first prom. She brought the dress, and it's like they still tried to do an online prom. She like got in the dress and like took a picture of her, but it's just like I wasn't there. You didn't get to drive up. You didn't get to have a little rose. You didn't get to dance or drink any of the fruit punch.
Yeah,
it's just it is what it is, and if we got to choose and it was a perfect world, it would be nice to go, but it's not. So
I can tell you that we have some folks here on campus just working to add all kinds of special details to our virtual graduation, and I hope when you and your family gather next Saturday morning at 10 o'clock and watch it go through, that it won't be the same, but that you'll feel your ASU-Beebe faculty and staff being proud of you as our student, I think. So I think we can have that to look forward to as well. So, well, Nick, it's been a pleasure to talk with you. I wish you all the luck in the world. You're not going to need it. You're a great student, but I wish you all the best as you transition away from us. As I say at graduation, thank you for inviting us into your lives and letting us be a part of your educational journey. You've been a great student.
Thank you very much.
All right. So next time on Doing Things Differently and Learning Something New, we're going to talk to some of those people who are working on the virtual celebrations that we're going to have for our students at the end of the semester. And first up will be Cindy Smith. She's the director of our nursing programs, and our nursing pinning ceremony this year will be a virtual ceremony. And so we look forward to speaking with her about that. Thank you, and join us next time.